The match was on Sunday, and I woke up Monday and I wanted to do a last word video. Had to take a breath. Woke up on Tuesday, wanted to do a last word video and had to take a breath. So this is a much later last word on that awful gut-wrenching Liverpool defeat. And there's only going to be really one topic and one talking point, unfortunately, in this video. So do us a favour, Newcastle fans. If you want to see what might sound like a rant, make sure you stick around. Take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. Deep breath, deep breath. Welcome back to Black White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. I'm not going to start as I normally would and say I hope you're having a lovely week. Results do not come much more gut-wrenching than what we witnessed on Sunday. It was an awful end to a bank holiday weekend which promised so much for 70 minutes, 75 minutes, 80 minutes of that match, and it was a really, really bitter pill to swallow. And I'm not denying that. I'd be lying if I said I'm over it. There's no worse way to lose a football match, and even worse, we've seen some awful defeats over the years under Mr. Mike Ashley. But to be losing a football match like that in a game that we've dominated, the game we've seen so many positives in, to have it snatched away from us was even harder to take. But before I get into what will probably be the bulk of the talking points on this video, which won't be me with me big smiling face like normal, Newcastle fans, do us a little favour. Drop us a little like you Lou. That goes a very long way. Whack that subscribe button if you like my opinion by the end of this video, or you might just be sick of this video. I don't know. That means the world to me. The amount of fans who are starting to speak to me at matches and jump in my videos, jump in the background of my videos. It's great. And get us across all social media where the content is very different to YouTube. It's a little bit more light-hearted, which is what I love doing. So it's Black and White Banter across pretty much every social you can. Now, anyone who's used to my videos might have wondered why last word videos come so late. As I'm recording this, it's Wednesday evening, and we should all be looking forward to the Champions League amazing. At the Champions League draw, we are about to find out who we are going to be playing at St James's Park and abroad with the footballing elite. And of course, as I said at the start of this video, that was a gut-wrenching defeat. And it's a very, very hard one to swallow. And there's lots of things that went wrong in that match, as well as a lot of things, in my opinion, that went right. And what I like to do on these videos is dissect the main talking points. But there is only one place to start that is the main talking point and stopped me from making this video, if I'm being totally honest with you, for a couple of days, because I am not the sort of YouTuber who's going to go on a rant and put in the title, rant, to get clicks and views. I see it on the daily and it absolutely boils my piss. But there's only one talking point that might take up the bulk of this video. I would rather be talking about things from a tactical point of view, from a player analysis. But the amount of shite that I have seen on social media since that defeat on Sunday has absolutely driven me insane. When we first got taken over, my biggest concern, and I've said this on repeat, the only concern in what was a joyous occasion to finally have rid of Mike Ashley, have owners with a bit of this and a bit of ambition, was the new breed of football fan that might come with rich owners and maybe a healthy future. And it's proven much, much earlier than I expected. The amount of grief I have seen Eddie Howe receive from Sunday night onwards, even into today as I record this video, is an absolute embarrassment to our football club. I'm sorry. And anyone watching this, and I've seen comments on my TikTok, on my Facebook, even on my YouTube, anybody watching this who is calling for Eddie Howe out, which maybe is a smaller minority, but is pulling the man's name through the mud because he got some substitutions wrong in the second half, I'm going to ask you now to give your head a serious wobble. I would even go as far as saying, just don't associate yourself with this channel, because you won't like my opinions on the regular moving forward if that's where your head is. Yes, Eddie Howe got things wrong on Sunday in the 72nd minute, when he decided to bring off Anthony Gordon and Sandro Tonali. But if there is one man in world football more job obsessed that will have hurt to the point where his missus probably wants to file for divorce because it's all he's talked about as he's laid awake with insomnia every single night since, it's Eddie Howe. Because what we have in Eddie Howe, Newcastle fans, that a lot of people don't understand is we have a manager who is constantly learning, constantly adapting and constantly improving. And that is the hardest thing to find in football as literally a needle in a haystack. It really, really is. So many managers in world football today are set in the ways. And I can even look at the Contes, the Mourinhos, the Mancinis. These are all managers that, yes, they've won things and they've done wonderful in their careers. But as football is adapting, they are starting to move around jobs because they are so set in one style of management that they refuse to evolve because that ego of previous success sticks with them. Eddie Howe has not only tweaked since his time at Bournemouth in a year and a half with us, his management style to play this crazy press that works so well for us and has given us a strong identity, but he took what he did so badly at Bournemouth in his time away from football and he learnt how to defend. He even fucking went and studied Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid off his own back. He asked whether he could watch them in training and he learnt about what that man as a great defensive coach did so well. And we had one of the best defences last season. And the fact that some Newcastle fans, and I'm going to put fans in inverted commas, are asking for this man's head, and I'll share some of the comments on screen right now. He's not an elite manager I've seen. He's not good enough. He's never going to be good enough. He's going to eventually get sacked. I've seen every single comment along these lines because the man has made one error. And I'm genuinely, I could be wrong on this. Someone let me know in the comments. How many matches in his time in charge have we come away where Eddie Howe's been the talking point? Because I can't remember any. And that tells me that the man's made a mistake. We all allowed to make mistakes. And I'm going to take you back to Pep Guardiola, who I'm sure every person watching this will agree is the greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football. The Champions League final, 3 years ago? When Manchester City played Chelsea, it was the trophy they all wanted. Pep Guardiola that night decided to go with no striker and he totally changed his team up and it didn't work and they got beat. And nobody could understand why he'd fucked up so much in one of the biggest games of his management. But the point I'm making with that is, everyone makes mistakes. Pep Guardiola, the greatest manager in world football, in the biggest match in world football, made a mistake that night. Eddie Howe will continue to make mistakes. He's still quite a raw manager if you look at his career. He is dealing with things right now that he's never had to deal with as a coach. Squad rotation. A bulky squad with Barnes, Longstaff, Wilson on the bench. A Champions League campaign. Fixture congestion. Cup finals. Wealthy owners. A transfer budget. And how's he done so far with all of them things? Transfer budget. Transfer windows since he's been in charge, absolutely fantastic. Style of football for Newcastle fans to actually be excited about watching their team go to Manchester City, play Liverpool at home, go away to Man United, go play Chelsea. Brilliant. We've got an identity that we are on the front foot and we are going to attack them and not fear anyone. There's another box ticked. Defence. We were all worried about his defensive record since coming in. Our defensive record last season matched Manchester City. So anyone who's going to ram it down my throat that he's not an elite manager because he made one mistake with substitutions, I'm sorry, it's laughable. There is no backup to that argument at all. Relegation to Champions League in a year and a half, and he's being ridiculed because he made one mistake. And let's look at the game as a whole. This is the last word. Let's look at the Liverpool match. Let's break it down. As I said on my last word blog, which you can find on my channel a bit further down, my written blog, we should have been out of sight. Jurgen Klopp at the end of that match said that was one of the greatest comebacks he's had in his time at Liverpool. All them Champions League nights Liverpool have had. We are playing top opposition and they feared us for 70 minutes. We were on the front foot in the first half, straight out the traps like we know. Almiron's hit the post. Alisson's pulled off a great save. We should have been out of sight. And yes, there are concerns coming away from that match. From a goal scoring point of view, I've said for a long time, goals from midfield, I'm still not convinced we have enough, because Barnes, who adds that, is currently being used as a substitute for Eddie Howe. Bruno's not going to contribute enough. Tonali's probably not. Joe Linton's probably not. And that's a concern with the amount of fixtures we have. And that's what Sunday highlighted massively to me. If we'd have taken some of them chances and taken advantage of our dominance against 10 men earlier in the game, would Newcastle fans really have noticed Tonali and Gordon coming off as much as they did? Would it have been as highlighted? Would it shite? But every single football fan likes a scapegoat. And I'm sorry, every group of football fans are fickle. Newcastle fans are fickle, and that's not me calling my own. We are the greatest supporters in the world, but we have a fickle bunch that when things don't go right and it feels like a stab in the neck like it did on Sunday, they need something to use. A go-to, if you like, an easy go-to. And Eddie Howe's that man. Because yes, should Gordon have come off? I don't think he should have. Should Tonali have come off? No, I don't think he should have. But we still should have had enough in the tank to get over the line. What happened in that second half, which 442 have highlighted in a video. If you don't follow 442, give them a watch. They've got a Newcastle fan in their ranks who talks sense from a tactical point of view. Jurgen Klopp swapped it up and made a narrow square of 4. He brought Salah in, he brought Jota in, and obviously he brought Nunes in at the front of that box. And we couldn't handle it. We were suddenly outnumbered in areas, and Klopp got one up tactically on Eddie Howe in that second half. He did. But for people to be saying that he's not an elite manager, how many times have we got one up on other teams? Pep Guardiola was just singing Eddie Howe's praises from the rooftops in the last match when we lost 1-0. They couldn't play their expansive style of football that they maybe wanted to at the Etihad because they were fearing us. Eddie Howe is learning all the time, and if he can achieve what he has in such a short space of time, I've got no doubts about it. This man is the man to lead us forward. And if you want some perspective, Newcastle fans, go back to the start of last season when we achieved Champions League football and got a cup final, which I'm being told would be an amazing achievement this season again, with Champions League thrown in on top. 7 games we played, we won 1 first game of the season, like this season against Nottingham Forest, we won 2-0, and we did not win for the following 6. We got draws, we got defeats, we got a last-minute defeat at Anfield. And after that last-minute defeat at Anfield last season, we went on a 15-game unbeaten run. For Newcastle fans, 3 matches into the season, to be talking so negatively about this football club when we've smashed Aston Villa, could have scored 8 that day. We've gone to the Etihad and put on a very respectable performance in what is the hardest game we will play all season. And that's Champions League included, by the way. We've then gone toe-to-toe with Liverpool, who have Mo Salah, World Cup winning McAllister, Szoboszlai, you name it, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. We've gone toe-to-toe with them and we've dominated the match for large parts. So much to the point that Liverpool fans cannot stop commenting on my TikToks, my YouTubes about Darwin Núñez because they are so over the moon to shut us up because we're a threat. We are a threat now and we are in the conversation. And for Eddie Howe to be talked about so negatively is just rolling on from what Bruno said in his tweet last week. It's an embarrassment. It's ridiculous. And we have got a new breed of football fan that I've got no shame in calling plastics to a degree, because I think that any true Newcastle fan is frustrated from Sunday. Yes, of course we are. Are we concerned in areas? Yes, of course we are. That game management wasn't quite there on Sunday from the players, not necessarily from the manager, from the players. And the fact that we are not as clinical as what we should be, I think is going to be our downfall this season with regards to some of the heights that Newcastle fans expect. Your top 4s, your Champions League pushes, your cup finals. We need to be more clinical. But for this to be a talking point of Eddie Howe not being the man further down the line, it worries me. Do you know why it worries me? Because I still think that we have knee-jerk owners given the certain circumstances. And I don't mean Mehrdad and Amanda because they're closer to the club. But Mr. Rumiyan, over in Saudi Arabia, who only visits now and again, I watch these Amazon Prime documentaries and my biggest thing that I notice with him is he wants things now. We want to be best. Number 1, he said on the Amazon Prime video. So if we go through a little spell where we maybe aren't winning every week, but they see on social media this awful group of fans jumping on the back of one defeat in the last minute against Liverpool in a game we should have won, and feel like there's ammunition to change coach. I worry that that will be transcended down and that might happen. And I tell you what, God, sorry, this really has gone more ranty than I expected. Just be careful what you wish for, because there is not a manager right now that I would take over Eddie Howe. And I mean that, and I've looked at the numbers on that. Genuinely, the man understands the football club, has a fantastic philosophy for his football. He's improved as a defensive coach. He wants to be on the front foot. He doesn't allow them players to fear anyone. And we are currently in a period of transition where bigger profile players are coming in. Our squad is getting better. And Eddie Howe is allowed to make a substitution mistake. And I hope with every ounce of me that we go to Brighton on Saturday as a wounded animal and we put on a right show, because I'll tell you what, those fans calling for his head if we go to Brighton on Saturday and win 3-0 might just go a little bit quiet, and that is the fickle football fan I am sick of. So Newcastle fans, sorry if this last word has not gone into any sort of insight that I like to post-match, but all I've been consumed with for the last 3 days, as I've had to repeatedly take a breath, is toxic comments on social media about our coach that really frustrates me about our fan base. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. We've got a fantastic Champions League draw that I should be looking forward to, but some of them fans don't deserve that Champions League draw if they're going to go on like this after 3 matches into the season. They really don't. That is a beautiful thing to look forward to, and it's going to be an adventure like no other this season. But unfortunately, the fans' of expectations have already changed way faster than I expected. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you are one of them who thinks that Eddie Howe needs to be replaced, I'm going to say let me know, but there's probably going to be a high chance I'm either not going to respond or we're going to get into some sort of debate. But hey, we all have opinions, and I guess that's what makes football great. If you've liked this video, which I don't think you will have, because I hate doing rants and I will not be using the word in the title for this video just to make everybody aware, let me know. I'm going to stay off social media for the next couple of days. I think I'm going to stay off YouTube because some of the content creators' rants on Sunday I thought were an embarrassment as well. Let us know your thoughts. Whack that subscribe if you really want to. Champions League content coming up. Isn't that an exciting prospect? And I'll see you on the next one where hopefully things might have died down, but my God, wouldn't I love us to go to Brighton on Saturday and shut some of these idiots up. I'll see you on the next one. Keep the faith, Newcastle fans. Away the lads.